In 1984, the grey nurse shark was the first species of shark in the world to become classified as an endangered species. The New South Wales government took action as grey nurse numbers persisted to rapidly disappear from Australian waters. This film aims to identify the key causes of the shark's decline, to decipher why it is that grey nurse shark numbers are still plummeting, and outline possible steps that can be taken to prevent this species from disappearing altogether. Spearfishing in the 1960s in Australia seriously depleted grey nose shark populations. Indiscriminate killing of the species followed incorrect claims that they were responsible for shark attacks along the eastern shore of Australia. Their placid nature made them easy targets and their numbers deteriorated. Today, this species of shark is still listed as critically endangered, and yet there may be as little as 300 individual sharks in New South Wales and Queensland waters. What is pushing this docile species to the brink of extinction? Is there anything that can be done before they disappear from our waters forever? Many believe that the answer lies in protected marine parks with no fishing zones. Various corporations, including WWF, the Nature Conservation Council, and many others, have called for marine sanctuaries to be set up in recognised key habitats of the grey nose shark, in the hope that this will help replenish the species. This map shows the different marine reserves to be set up in Australian waters, including the Cod Grounds Commonwealth Marine Reserve on the upper north coast of New South Wales, which is a key breeding habitat for the grey nose shark. But at what cost? Are marine sanctuaries economically viable, or will the added stress placed on our fisheries outweigh the benefits the marine sanctuaries propose in the first place? And the biggest question is, will the sanctuaries even help in the recovery of the sharks' numbers? Identifying the major cause of species reduction is critical in the conservation of this vulnerable species. So why are many shark species, in particular the grey nose shark, declining in number? As a whole, marine species usually have a high productivity rate and therefore have the capability to recover rapidly from severe depletion. Unfortunately, sharks have several characteristics that detract from their ability to recover from certain destructive pressures and make them particularly vulnerable to anthropogenic influence. Sharks, in particular larger species, are long-lived animals with low reproductive rates. The grey nose shark is subject to late maturation and low fecundity, producing a maximum of 2 live young once every 2 years. They also require very specific habitats. These factors contribute to the grey nose shark having poor recovery potential and make them vulnerable to extinction. Today, grey nose numbers are so low that genetic disorders are starting to arise due to the lack of genetic variation in their populations. Scoliosis is just one of a few conditions contributing to the health of this species. Like many other species, other factors contributing to the shark's downfall include habitat loss, ecosystem impacts, and climate change, but mostly they are under threat from overfishing, both targeted commercially or caught unintentionally by recreational fishers and as bycatch. Grey nose sharks mostly inhabit shallow water, and although they are found in depths of up to 190 metres, they are most commonly found around inshore rocky reefs and islands in depths of 10 to 40 metres, making them ideal fishing targets. Research has shown that the chances of sharks being hooked by lighter gear used by recreational fishers are much higher than with commercial fishing gear. Grey nose sharks are listed as critically endangered. By law, no shark can be retained, intentionally captured, or killed. However, there are still consequences for those sharks that are unintentionally caught by fishermen. There are still high rates of mortality found in the sharks that have been captured and released. Injuries that result from fishing gear that remain attached to sharks, such as ingested hooks, can be fatal. The sharks have proved vulnerable to even recreational fishing. It is for this exact reason that conservationists are calling for no fishing zones in certain areas, to the dismay of the local fishermen. No fishing zones will provide the sharks with the chance to breed without the constant threat of commercial and recreational fishing. But what effects will the no fishing zones have on important fisheries operating in the area? In 2007, all forms of fishing were banned from the popular cod grounds off Laurieton on the upper New South Wales coastline. The Australian government underwent a socio-economic impact assessment on the proposed cod ground marine parks area in 2004 before the no fishing zone was established. The study found that over a 7-year period, commercial fishing in the cod grounds gained a gross value of production of up to $229,000. There are also 4 fishing co-ops that would be affected by the no fish zone and could lose commission of up to $124,000. Apart from the costs associated with the MPA, one of the major concerns involved in the establishment of no fishing zones is that fishermen would be likely to seek to replace lost catch by targeting other fishing grounds, resulting in flow-on impacts to fisheries already operating in the other areas. The government bought out several of the fishing operations operating within the cod grounds area, but the question of where replacement fish come from once a reserve is established still poses a major problem when it comes to the planning of marine reserves. By limiting our fishing areas, we may be encouraging imports from other countries that have lower standards than what we have in Australia. Sharks play a critical role in the ocean environment and are found almost everywhere in the world in varying habitats. Sharks have an important role in sustaining a stable and healthy marine system. The virtual destruction of large shark populations off the east coast of America has had disastrous effects on some of the area's most prized fishing industries. Immense overfishing of large predatory sharks over the last 30 years has led to an explosion in ray, skate, and small shark species, whose numbers are usually kept in track by the larger sharks that prey on them. The change in this ecosystem's delicate balance has had devastating effects for the organisms at the very bottom of the food chain. The rays feed on the shellfish and crustaceans in the area, including scallops. The increased numbers of rays have led to the complete decimation of the scallop populations. The fisheries which harvest the scallops have now gone out of business. Although there may be various substantial costs in the establishment of marine sanctuaries, research shows that they are working for certain species, and the benefit of having a whole, intact marine environment is important when it comes to sustaining these resources. I feel the marine reserves will ultimately be more economically beneficial and will cost us less in the long run. A deteriorated marine system could have devastating effects on many of the industries that live off them. Depreciation of shark numbers can also have an immense effect on vulnerable ecosystems such as coral reefs, which together have an annual global economic value of $375 billion. Therefore, I feel it is of the utmost importance that shark populations, in particular the grey nurse shark, are protected. If nothing further is done to protect this species, grey nurse sharks could become extinct in as little as 6 years. Grey nurse shark populations off the east coast of Australia do not appear to be capable of recovery on their own. If we are to save this species, the removal of all fishing-related mortality is essential, and more research is needed on what take of sharks, if any, will be sustainable.